Here's your wrestling news for October 4th, 2022, and we're kicking off today with WWE Raw, as the show saw United States Champion Bobby Lashley be confronted by Mustafa Ali. Their confrontation led to a match, but this wasn't your ordinary US title match, but instead a tale of Ali's toughness and resolve and refusal to give up. In the end, Lashley won by a technical submission after Ali passed out in the Hurt Lock, but he never tapped out to the move, which has become one of WWE's most devastating submissions. Ali asked for his release back in January of this year, and there was a time when it looked like he'd spend the rest of his contract on the shelf, but he now seems on the cusp of a feature feud on Raw. It was in October 2020 that Ali turned heel, being revealed as the leader of Retribution, but with his resolve this week, it's October 2022 that Mustafa Ali is a face once again. Braun Strowman was also in action on Raw, having his first match on the brand in a year and a half, and defeated Chad Gable with relative ease. The man once known as Shorty G couldn't topple the monster among men, but Braun's next opponent will be much taller. Backstage, MVP and Omos were seen observing the match, teasing a feud between the Giant and Strowman. Omos is the tallest star in the modern era and WWE's second tallest superstar ever behind Giant Gonzalez, so it's now Strowman's turn to play the underdog in this upcoming feud. Over to Raw now, as this week's show saw another tease of the White Rabbit, but there wasn't just one meaning to what fans witnessed, but rather 5 different possibilities. After Alexa Bliss was shown, a QR code appeared, and when scanned, took fans to an image of Samson and Delilah, a story of betrayal from the Bible. Of course, fans remember that Bliss betrayed Wyatt at WrestleMania 37 in what would be Bray's final match with WWE, and after that match, Wyatt tweeted his own image of Delilah cutting Samson's hair, robbing him of his strength. In case WWE didn't make the Bliss connection clear enough, red lights were used in the arena when she was speaking, another tease of the return of the former Fiend. Digging further, a code shown in the Samson image led to an image of White Rabbit Milk, a brand from Shanghai, China. There was a binary code shown as well, which fans quickly translated as saying Gacy, likely a reference to NXT's Joe Gacy, whose creepy persona has been compared to Wyatt since his debut last year. The next set of numbers shown refer to coordinates, which directed fans to the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, the home of this Saturday's Extreme Rules event. This isn't the first time that the White Rabbit has given hints to where his next clue will be, as several coordinates have been used before featuring the locations of future WWE shows. The 5th and presumably final clue is the code used, which, when translated, gives the ominous message, "Before me things created were none, save things eternal, and eternal I endure. All hope abandon, ye who enter here." These lines of prose, like the previous White Rabbit clue, comes from Dante's 4th century poem Inferno, which details a man's descent into hell in search of his former life. All signs point to the White Rabbit being Bray Wyatt, but that hasn't stopped fans being interested in deciphering the clues, and perhaps Saturday's Extreme Rules will mark Bray's emergence from the rabbit hole after over a year away. WWE's latest QR code has certainly had fans deciphering clues, but the company had a much more blatant tease of Wyatt's return during this week's Raw. During a match pitting Solo Sikoa against Angelo Dawkins, a fan held a sign with the phrase White Rabbit, that's spelled W-Y-T-T-R-A-B-A-T, which sounds a lot like both White Rabbit and Wyatt Rabbit. In case fans missed it the first time, the fan held the sign later in the match, which stood out in the crowd as it was the only sign shown on the hard cam. If WWE did not want this sign on their show, then it certainly would not have made it on, so we have to presume that this was a deliberate act by the promotion to tease Wyatt's return. At this point, anyone but Wyatt would be a huge letdown for fans, and it feels like the time is drawing near for the former Universal Champion's return to TV. But do you think it could be anyone but Bray? And are you excited to see him return? Let us know in the comments. More from Raw now, as on this week's Raw, Candice LeRae became one half of the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, or at least that's what WWE incorrectly told fans. During her entrance, LeRae made her way to the ring, but a production botch happened, as her name was shown to be that of Women's Tag Team Champion Dakota Kai. Just to be clear, Lerae is not the New Zealand-born superstar and actually came up short against Kai thanks to some interference by Damage Control's Bayley and Io Sky. It's rare that we see botches like these, but they do still happen, and while Lerae no doubt hopes to be a champion in WWE again one day, this botch isn't the way to do it. Speaking of champions, SmackDown Women's Champion Liv Morgan will defend against Ronda Rousey in an Extreme Rules match this Saturday, and about many expect Rousey to win. Not only is Rousey a more legitimate fighter, but even the poster for the show features solely Rousey, something the champ isn't a fan of. On Twitter, Morgan responded to a tweet from the official WWE account saying that the fans made her their girl and said that WWE can keep your shitty poster. When a fan made their own edit, with this poster now featuring just Morgan, the champ loved it, and we'll have to see if Liv's title reign can survive a third match with Ronda Rousey at Extreme Rules. On a recent episode of SmackDown, Drew McIntyre was meant to take a fireball to the face by Scarlett, but that's not how things happened. Instead, the fireball went over McIntyre's head, and he and Scarlett improvised the next few moments, before Karrion Kross appeared to attack the former WWE champion. Speaking to My San Antonio to promote the upcoming Royal Rumble, McIntyre spoke about the blown spot and said how it was frustrating for all involved. It's frustrating when it is something that should be ready to go on a live television show, but at the same time, it is a live television show, and it's not my first day, so I know how things don't always go like they're supposed to go. Hence why I didn't fall down and hold my face, because I don't trust anything after 20 years in wrestling. I just reacted until I knew everything is okay, and then someone got the cue and it was not okay, so I called what I had to call, and we got the save at the end and got the bad guy reaction and putting some heat on the new characters on the show. Instead of the fireball hitting him in the eyes and blinding him, McIntyre and Scarlett silently agreed for her to hit him with a low blow, leaving Drew prone for the cross-jacket submission by Karrion. This weekend we'll see McIntyre and Kross face off in a strap match, which will hopefully go off without a hitch after this recent botch. At Extreme Rules, Daniel Cormier will make his WWE debut, officiating the upcoming Fight Pit match between Seth Rollins and Matt Riddle. A former UFC heavyweight champion, Cormier knows a thing or two about cage fights, but this may not be his only appearance for the company. During Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer discussed Cormier and said that his name has been thrown around backstage as a potential commentator on SmackDown. Fox, who broadcasts SmackDown, are said to have loved Cormier's work as a commentator for UFC events, but that's not the only possibility. Meltzer also reported that there is talks of Cormier being Brock Lesnar's next opponent, possibly at Crown Jewel, which explains why he's making his WWE debut with little notice at a B-tier premium live event. We know that Cormier will officiate the Fight Pit, but his future after this Saturday is uncertain. But it looks like we've not seen the last on Daniel Cormier in WWE. Back to Raw now, and like we mentioned earlier, Candice LeRae came up short against Dakota Kai in her second match back, albeit thanks to Bayley at ringside. This was just part of a very bad night for the family, as LeRae's husband Johnny Gargano lost to Otis, similarly because of interference, this time by Austin Theory. While both superstars were protected in defeat because of the outside interference, we have to question the decision to have Candice lose her second match in over a year, as it seems to have been a misstep by WWE this week. Candice's return didn't go as she'd hoped this week, but Dexter Lumis has been on fire since his return to WWE. Sure, Lumis's feud with The Miz hasn't received a ton of screen time, but anytime the segments are on, the pair create pure magic. The moments of Lumis looming behind and making The Miz pass out have been highlights of Raw, and this week was no exception. We especially loved Johnny Gargano's cameo in the feud this week, as he has a history with Lumis in NXT, and when he saw the passed out Miz, simply shrugged and went on his way. Lumis hasn't wrestled since his return to WWE, with his most recent match being back in April of this year, but whatever the story is building to, the journey has been fantastic. Raw opened up this week with an appearance by the Judgment Day, who went on to defeat AJ Styles and Rey Mysterio later on. While this rendition of the group is turning out more interesting than what we had previously seen with Edge, we do wish that WWE had gotten the Hall of Famer on the show. It would have been much better to have a face-to-face between Balor and the WWE legend ahead of their I Quit match at Extreme Rules, but that wasn't meant to be last night. We're just days away from Edge's next match for WWE, but some superstars seemingly won't be in the ring for the foreseeable future. Before this week's Raw began, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful reported that one wrestler was sent to the trainer's room with an injury, while another had to use a walking boot just to get around. There's no word on who exactly is hurt or how long they'll be out of action for if they're set to miss any time in the ring. WWE themselves have not confirmed who is injured, but one name we expect to be out is Montez Ford. During a segment between the Street Profits and the Bloodline, the former tag champion was seen wearing a protective boot and did not compete during Raw. There had been no prior reports of Ford being injured, with his most recent match happening just last week, and there's also no word on when he'll be healed. All we know for certain is that Ford and at least one other wrestler wasn't able to compete on this week's show, and we hope him and whoever else is injured have a speedy recovery. Now, it's been months since Charlotte Flair last appeared for WWE, as the Queen hasn't been seen since her SmackDown Women's title loss to Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania Backlash. Over the weekend, Flair appeared on Fox's WWE's Most Extreme Moments countdown and was asked about her next steps in WWE. While Flair did not give an exact return date, she did indicate that her return could be soon, as PW Insider reported. When asked about her next move in WWE, Flair stated that she was keeping her eye on Bianca Belair and the Raw Women's Championship, hinting at that as a future program when she returns to the ring. With Belair set to defend her title this Saturday against Bayley, Charlotte's return could be as soon as Extreme Rules, as we know for certain that the Queen plans on adding many more titles to her impressive collection. And we're ending today with Ludwig Kaiser, who has shown off his impressive body transformation. On Twitter, the Imperium member shared a before and after image of himself as Marcel Bartel in NXT and himself today, and it's clear that he's in much better shape. Like Gunther, Kaiser has honed his body down, and the effects are noticeable in an impressive transformation for the German superstar. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.